Hey there folks, Tom Battinger here, otherwise known as F. And today we're going to talk rosters. With the new season comes new looks for a lot of the teams, but some teams are actually staying the same. The biggest point I want to drive home though is that some teams are bringing new players or old players to new positions, and we'll keep an eye on those. So basically your pro league consists of 8 teams, and 5 of those teams are going to be sticking around, and those are the 5 teams we're going to talk about today. The remaining 3 teams will be forced to go through relegation, and they'll figure out the spots later on. So for now, let's just go over the 5 teams. Starting over in North America, let's start with one of the teams that stays exactly the same. It's Team Eager. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This team did not make it to finals of Worlds, but they looked pretty good all season. So they're pretty confident that their roster just needs some shake-up as far as their practice regimen is concerned. The guys are staying the same. Divio solo, DJ Pernicus in the jungle, the best in the mid lane, Aurora will be your support, and of course, the owner, Zapman, will stay in the hunter role. Soar, on the other hand, has definitely changed things up just a little bit. Benji and Vedium are the package deal that are coming here, and that's going to be one of the bigger changes, but perhaps not the biggest. I think players are going to be surprised when I say Annenster's name. Benji will be your solo laner, and Homie Efe is your jungle. And that means Annenster to play on this roster will shift over to the mid lane. We'll definitely keep an eye on how that one goes. Jigs and Vedium make up that duo lane, and that one should be very, very interesting. Benji and Vedium are 2 very strong players that I think coming on this roster, this should prove to be fruitful. Luminosity Gaming, on the other hand, well, they had a good core to start with, and they're switching out just one player. It's their mid laner, and again, I think people might be surprised about that mid laner's name. Scary D and Mask stay on the team as solo and jungle respectively, and the dual lane's the same as well. Jeff and Barracuda are going nowhere, but Bask into the mid lane, that's a shift. Formerly a solo laner, he's going to be moving over to mid, and we'll see how that one works out as the season goes on. ALG. This is a squad that has had some changes and I think has been a work in progress for Weekend for a long time, and now have solidified their roster. Cyclone is going to be the solo laner as Weekend takes up his spot in the jungle. Polar Bear, Mike, and Oceans retain their situation over there in the dual lane, but one more time, a mid lane change. This one's going to be Met Yankee. He's moving over from his hunter role to mid, although he did a little while ago. Here, he'll be playing for ALG. Flashpoint also bringing a new look this season. Aquarius, formerly a challenger player for Most Wanted, is going to be bringing his talents over to Flashpoint GG. Mirage, formerly on MOBA, will be the jungler, and Incontinentia, Incon himself, will be the mid laner here. Shadow Q, of course, Captain is going to stay in the support role, and Xenotronics is going to be moving over to Hunter. Now, for those of you unaware, Xenotronics, formerly the LG mid laner, Hunter is his natural position, so moving over here might be a better spot for Xeno for Season 4. So that's it for North America. Like I said, the biggest point, everybody's playing mid. We're going to keep our eye on that mid lane as we see different players shifting over from different positions and wonder how everybody's going to follow suit. Europe is kind of similar as far as the fact that some players are moving, but some teams are staying the same, so why don't we just dive into it, your European rosters for Season 4. Starting off with Energy, like I said before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The defending world champions are staying exactly the same. Dimmy in the solo lane, adapting over there in the jungle. Yaman, Raffer, and Emilito will round out this roster. These guys have won 2 world championships in a row. I don't think there's any reason to change, and neither do they. Obey Alliance. There's a hole in this roster. Variety looked absolutely fantastic throughout the course of Season 3, and because of that, has moved on and created a lineup of his own. Now that's going to leave a hole in Obey, and Ataraxia has gotten creative with how to fill it. Maniac is going to be joining this squadron. Formerly playing next to Zeros and Reels on SK and Fnatic, we'll see how Maniac works as Season 4 goes on. He'll be combining with Captain Twig's jungle and Pretty Prime's mid, and of course Ataraxia in the hunter role. But also new on this team will be Emilzy. 2 very cerebral players over there in the duo lane that should definitely be an interesting look for Obey Alliance. As I said, Variety moving on formed his own roster. And also because of that, Dignitas caught wind. Looking for a new look for Season 4, Dignitas parts ways with Shadow Nightmare and his crew and opts to pick up Variety's new team, which is actually what they call themselves throughout the relegation process. Variety will be joining forces with Cubo Fred and Trix Tank, formerly on Orbit, and they'll also grab up Zeros and Arkle. Everybody in their proper positions. Variety solo, Cubo Fred in the jungle, Zeros will be playing mid lane, Trix Tank in the support role, and Arkle will be your hunter. This team has already looked very strong, and under the Dignitas banner, they should have a very strong Season 4. Just like Obey had holes after Variety left, Valent Squadron, as they call themselves now, has holes after leaving Cubo Fred and Trix Tank in the dust. Zelia, Lobster, and Funball need to find a new jungle and support, and that's exactly what they did. Cherio will be joining this squad. The celebrated player from Egypt should prove very strong alongside these guys. Lobster was saying that no matter what position, Cherio is going to be a part of this team, no matter what, come Season 4. So a lot of faith for that guy. And of course, the support role, Big Man Tings. The player has been improving steadily throughout the course of his career, and I know him and his team are very excited to see what he can do for Valent Squadron. And our last team to speak about over in Europe is going to be Sanguine. Also looking for a new look. Almost all of the players went different directions, but Nika will certainly stick around and find a new roster. However, now in the hunter role, 4 players will be joining him. Dark Dodo, formerly in the mid lane, will shift over to the solo. Mike the Magikarp, also known as Get Fisher, will be the jungler for this team. Mr. Stefan will come through and play mid lane, and then you have Death Panther to be the support player for this squad as well. Sanguine, looking to play strongly in Season 4, shift their roster. We'll see if it works. As I said, some rosters new looks, some teams exactly the same, but a lot of change all across the season. You're going to take a look at new players playing old positions playing new players, and everything else as far as that's concerned. North America and Europe are settled. At least the top part, 5 out of 8 of the teams are set in stone. We'll see who the rest will be as relegations continue on. So keep an eye on your relegations and anything else Smite Pro related. Visit us at esports.smitegame.com, or of course follow us on Twitter at Smite Pro. That's Tom Battinger, and we'll catch you next time.